I'm James Welch, and I'm going to tell you something about the organ here at the Redwood City Chapel of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This organ is just about to have its 50th birthday. It was built in about 1955 and was first installed in the Palo Alto Chapel on Gwynda. It was later moved into the Redwood City Chapel when that building was built. This organ was built by the Wicks Organ Company of Illinois and has about 615 pipes. The sounds of the organ are controlled by what are called stops. These are the stops that control the sounds in the pedal. These are the stops that control the sounds on the upper keyboard, the swell keyboard, and these stops control the sounds on the grate. Let's start with a flute. A higher pitched flute, and a little piccolo that goes way up here. There's also a trumpet stop, and a higher pitched trumpet for a bigger fanfare. And a very unusual stop called a vox humana, which means human voice, an old-fashioned sound that may remind you of a funeral parlor. Not used very often, but is useful in certain kinds of music. Now we'll go to the stops on the grate. These are the stops that are used most often in a hymn. That was the principal 8. This is another flute stop. As I add these, the pitches get higher and the sound gets louder. The lowest sounds on the organ come from the pedals. This is a pipe that gives a 16-foot pitch. So the range goes all the way from down here to the highest pitch, which was up here. I can use these stops to couple the sounds together. For instance, if I have stops on this manual that play here, and I want them to play down here, I use these couplers. Then I can add these stops together, and I can get the full sound of the organ by playing on this keyboard. Add that together with the pedal stops, coupling the sounds from the manuals down to the pedal, and I can get a great big sound. You see me pushing these buttons. These are the combination action pistons. And you can set these up to make quick changes. You can program them yourself, because sometimes in the music you need to make changes and your hands are busy. They're also repeated down here with the feet, and so if your hands are busy, you can make a quick change with your feet. The volume is controlled either by adding or subtracting more stops, or by opening or closing these swell shutters. So if I have these sounds, it gets louder and softer as I close the pedal. This organ had a set of chimes that was added sometime after the organ was first installed. Again, we don't hear them very often, but they're useful at Christmas time and other festive holidays. This pedal on the right will add stops automatically without having them move. So if I have a soft combination on and I want to add more stops without reaching up to push on the stops by hand, I can use this pedal on the right. Called a crescendo pedal. Well, now let's go back in the blower room and the pipe chambers and see what really makes the sound. Since a pipe organ makes it sound by having air being blown through pipes, it has to get the air pressure from somewhere, and this is where it comes from. This is an electric motor with a blower mechanism, and it pumps the air through here. It comes up through this duct and into a bellows. This has a spring in it that goes up and down when the organ is being played, and that keeps the pressure, the air pressure, constant, because if the pressure drops, well, then the organ can go flat. So the more pipes you're playing at once, the more the pressure changes, and this helps to regulate it. So the air comes through here, and then it goes on up through these ducts, up into the pipe chambers on either side. So now let's go up the ladder and see the actual pipes in the pipe chamber. We're now back in the pipe chambers. They're divided into two separate chambers, and right now we're in the grate chamber. That is the pipes that are played from the lower keyboard of the organ. The main backbone sound of the organ is produced by these principals. This is an 8-foot long pipe, and as you can see, there wasn't quite enough room in this for the pipe to stand up straight, and so they had to do what's called mitering. The pipe turns the corner, but it doesn't affect the quality of the sound. And these are just large whistles. The air comes up through the chamber here. When I push the key down, there's a little magnet inside this that lets the air flow into the pipe. The sound is made here at the mouth of the pipe, and the length of the pipe determines the pitch. The longer the pipe, the lower the pitch. So the principals are made out of metal, but some pipes are made out of wood. These are the lowest pedal pipes. These are the wood bourdons. And it's the same principle. The air comes through here, the sound is made at the mouth of the pipe, and it goes up to the top where you can see a stopper, the black stoppers that are in top of each of these pipes. By putting a stopper in the end of the pipe, it actually makes the pipe speak an octave lower than it would. So although that is an 8-foot long pipe, it gives a 16-foot pitch out of that. These shorter pipes are the higher pitched pipes. You can see some are made out of wood and some are made out of metal. The lower pitches are up there, and as we get shorter and shorter, they get much higher. These wood pipes have stoppers in them, and some of them have sleeves on them. These are tuning sleeves with a spring on it, and by moving this collar or this sleeve up and down, it can adjust the length of the pipe slightly, and that's how you tune a pipe on the organ. As long as they're not bumped, then there's no problem, but once in a while, because of being bumped or the temperature change, well, then they have to come in and tune these up slightly. This is a cap on top of one of the flutes that pushes up and down and changes the pitch slightly. Now we're in the swell chamber, and this chamber has the pipes that are played from the upper keyboard. Some rather interesting things to see in this chamber. First of all, you can't help but notice the row of chimes. Below it are the interesting vox humana pipes. Now these are different from the whistle pipes. These are considered reed pipes. In the boot of the pipe is a little vibrating metal piece. When the air passes through that, it buzzes like in a harmonica. And so the pitch is determined by the metal vibrating tongue inside here. And this is called a resonator on top. And that doesn't change the pitch, but it changes the color. It determines how buzzy the sound is. With a very short resonator, such as you're seeing here, it's very buzzy. But if the resonator is much longer, such as we'll see in the trumpet pipes, it's a more mellow sound. Behind are some more of the wooden flute pipes that have stoppers in them. Now we're looking at the trumpet rank of pipes. The lowest one here is an 8-foot pipe, and you can see again that it's mitered in order to fit into this room. This is the boot of the pipe, and you can see a small wire that sticks out of the boot here, and that's how you tune a reed pipe. By pushing up and down on this, it changes the length of the tongue slightly, and that's how you tune a reed pipe, as opposed to a flue pipe, which is a whistle, and those are tuned again by changing the length of the resonator. The lowest pipes are the longest, and as we go down here they get higher and higher. And the top octave of the reed is actually not a reed. They're just the whistle type pipes, because you can't tell the difference at the top. Since the pipes are always speaking at a constant volume, the only way to get a different dynamic on the organ is either to add or subtract more stops, or to open and close these shutters. There is a set of shutters between the chamber and the chapel, and as these open and close, they're like big Venetian blinds, and they cut down the amount of sound that gets into the room. These are the bellows that operate each one of these shutters. As you push on the pedal, the foot pedal, it actuates one of these at a time, and they can either be mostly open or mostly closed, all the way closed, and that's how you can get some gradation of dynamics. There's a thermometer in the chamber that tells the tuner what the temperature is, because the temperature does affect the tuning of the pipes slightly, so it's helpful for a tuner to know that. And if you look closely, you can see that there's a number stamped on almost every piece of wood or metal in this organ. When a pipe organ company builds an organ, they completely assemble it in the plant. And the opus number on this organ is 3508. And so they construct it, they get it running, they get it playing, and then they take it apart, bring it to the church, and reinstall it from scratch again, and these numbers help identify which project it goes to. Now let's hear a little bit from the organ. It's the best place to hear the organ is out in the room, of course, but you can't see what it looks like when the chimes and the shutters are being operated, so I'll go down to the organ and play that, and you'll get to watch from back in the chambers. I'm James Welch, and I'm going to give you a tour of the organ, the pipe organ here at the Redwood City Chapel of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This organ has an interesting history because it was actually installed in the Palo Alto Chapel on Gwynda in around 1955. So this organ is approaching its 50th birthday, and it has done a wonderful service. If you add up the number of times this organ has been turned on and played over the almost 50 years, there are very few machines that could have gone through that kind of work and still be operating as well as this. So it's a testament to the way that this organ was built. I'm going to demonstrate these stops. These are the stops that make the different sounds on the organ. That was horrible. I'm James Welch, and I'm going to give you a tour of the organ here at the Redwood City Chapel of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This pipe organ was built in about 1955 and was originally installed in the Palo Alto Chapel on Gwynda. When the Redwood City Chapel was built, the organ was moved here. We're lucky to have it. There are actually not that many pipe organs in our church, and our stake has 3 of them. This... I need you all to go away.
Just go ahead.
I'll try it one more time, but this time I'm not going to stop, even if I sound like an idiot, which I do. This is the last time I'm going to make a tape of anything in my life. I made a CD last week. I'm never going to make a CD again, and this is the last time I'm going to do something like this because I hate talking into a tape. Okay.